to be used to buy and sell goods at Walmart. But here's the thing. Let me warn you. Thank you for tuning in. This is Charlene on 88.5 FM, The Beat, the Smart Beat, live on the radio, coming at you. 2026 is the year that we know for a certain that Bitcoin has gone mainstream. How do you know when you've gone mainstream? If you make a sauce, say you're making a jerk sauce or a barbecue sauce, or you're making something, okay, butter, garlic butter, how do you know you have arrived? That's when Bitcoin hits Walmart. That's when your sauce hits Walmart shelf. If your product is on a shelf in Walmart, you know you have arrived. Okay? I'm not kidding, folks. Today, we know now that Walmart is now accepting Bitcoin. Now, the radio is where you're going to come to hear the real information that matters to you and matters to your life. So I'm coming at you live on the radio. The station is 88.5 FM, The Beat, the Smart Beat. I'm your girl, Charlene, live on the radio. Welcome to the show, folks. Now, if you thought Walmart was the news that Bitcoin is now accepted at Walmart, here's the other news. You guys ready for this? Oh my goodness. Radio is got to be entertaining for you. Thank you for tuning in. 88.5 FM, The Beat, the Smart Beat, Chase Bank. Now, if you live in the United States, if you live anywhere in the world, you know about JP Morgan Chase, one of the oldest banks in the United States. I gotta go look up when they started, but basically, Chase Bank is now allowing people to use Bitcoin as collateral. Chase Bank now accepts Bitcoin. Okay, I told you, Walmart. So you know you've arrived when your sauce is on the shelf in Walmart. But you know you have leveled up. You know you're at extreme level now when you know that you have Chase Bank, when a bank accepts your currency as collateral, when a bank accepts your asset as collateral, you know you have arrived. And that's what I'm talking about. Bitcoin can now be used as asset at Chase Bank, collateral at Chase Bank. I'm not making this up, folks. Anything I say, just go online and then look it up. Chase Bank now accepts Bitcoin. Bitcoin is energy. Bitcoin is life. Bitcoin is here. It's not going away. We have arrived once you know you hit Walmart. So I want to get into a lot of the news that's coming out involving Bitcoin, but I also want to bring back to the fundamentals of what I talk about. Bitcoin is energy, Chase Bank, Walmart, all of that. So I want to make sure that you are not left behind. When these things happen, you're not left behind. What is it that you are fearful of when it comes to Bitcoin? Because now there's no fear, okay? In the past, you've been told by your banks, you've been told by your brokers, stay away from Bitcoin. But guess what? The banks are now accepting Bitcoin as assets, as collateral. So if you wanted to buy a house, if you wanted to start a business, if you wanted to do anything, you go to the bank, you need collateral. You need something to secure money. You want to borrow money from them. You know what they found out? The banks have caught up with the technology. The banks are catching up with the technology. I talk about this all the time with you. The banks are now catching up with the technology. And here's the technology. It's called blockchain. People have, ever since assets and banking started, used collateral to get cash so that they can go do something. You want to buy some land. The land is the collateral. You can borrow the money to buy the land from a bank or somebody, and that land becomes collateral. If you don't pay the money back, they're going to take the land back, right? If you don't pay on time. And if you pay 29, and say you have a 30-year mortgage and you bought a house and you pay for 29 and you don't pay the last year, they're going to take it back no matter how much you already paid, right? So collateral has to be there to be able to get loans and funding from these banking institutions. The thing about that I want to bring your attention to is, now that we have Bitcoin, Bitcoin is now accepted at bank. Once Chase Bank does something, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Scotiabank, all the banks, Canadian banks, all the banks around the world are going to follow suit. They're going to follow the lead of the leading bank in the world. JP Morgan is the leading bank of the world. So here we go, folks. You are now living in the time when Bitcoin is on the shelf at Walmart and Bitcoin is in the Chase Bank. That's the headline for today. Now, the thing that we talked about, the 21 million Bitcoin in circulation, that is not going to run out, okay? Once the 21 million becomes closer, because now we're nearly 20 million Bitcoin, right? Once we get closer to that last Bitcoin, once we get in the last million, people thinking, oh, now I need to rush into Bitcoin because it's about to run out. Yes, rushing into it, but not because it's about to run out. The thing with Bitcoin is it will never run out. It's like you're building the house, right? So you build the foundation, 17 years you've been building, you put in all the rooms, you render all the, the siding, you got everything, you got the appliances in, and everything is in the house. Now, the house is not going anywhere. You're just building it. So the 21 million is the building phase of Bitcoin. We're in the building phase, and we're the last million. We're gonna be like doing the curtains. We're gonna be doing the paintings on the wall, the decor. We're now in the decoration phase, right? So all the banks, all the Walmarts, PayPal last year came out with their own coin. Now Cash App's, PayPal, Venmo, all of them accept Bitcoin, and Walmart just came online. So you cannot even use some of these other wallets at Walmart, but you can now use Bitcoin. Here's the trick. Beware. So Walmart accepting Bitcoin is not necessarily something great. Here's the thing. A lot of these major corporations like Walmart did not get in on the Bitcoin when the ground was breaking, when you're building the foundation, when you're even blocking up, even when the roof was on, they didn't get in. None of these big corporations, Chase Bank, they saw the house building, the Bitcoin house is building, and they told you, don't go over there, don't, that house is not safe, whatever. Then the house is done, the roof is on, the electric is hooked up, the water is hooked up, all the appliances are in, the plumbing is done. Listen, they didn't get in. Walmart did not get in when Bitcoin was being built, when the structure was being built. That was built on the backs of people like myself and you and the people who were using Bitcoin when we were told, don't use this technology. Don't use it, because they knew it was a threat. So Chase Bank is not adopting Bitcoin because Bitcoin changed. Nothing has changed about Bitcoin except the house is now built. And now everybody's like, wow. It didn't look pretty when you were digging the foundation for Bitcoin. It didn't look pretty when you were, pouring the cement and building the wall and in the sun and the steel and the wiring and the all of the piping, everything was out. Nobody admired Bitcoin. Oh, that's ugly. Oh, I don't want that in my neighborhood. What's that massive thing they're building over there? I don't want it in my neighborhood. That's what they said about Bitcoin when it was being built on the backs of individuals around the world. Nobody was mining Bitcoin except people like with their little computer off in the distance, underground in the basement, in the garage. But now, major corporations are starting to mine Bitcoin. There are publicly traded companies. If you look at who's holding the Bitcoins, all of these major mining companies are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. When they mine the Bitcoin, they're not selling it, they're not giving it out, they're keeping it from themselves. So people who've had Bitcoin and who've built Bitcoin and have taken it 17 years, so now it's 92,000 US dollar for one Bitcoin. Now everybody in the neighborhood, whoa, what a beautiful house, what a beautiful mansion. Everybody wants to come in. Everybody wants an invitation to the grand opening. Everybody wants housewarming. All your neighbors are coming with a pie. Oh, hi, here's a pie. Can I come in and see your beautiful house? Oh, here's a flower pot. Can I come in and see your beautiful house? Oh, here's a set of silverware. People, they come with the housewarming gifts. That's what's happening right now. All the big banks are coming to Bitcoin with their little gifts that mean nothing. So if you know someone that's been talking about Bitcoin and involved in Bitcoin and telling you about Bitcoin, now guess what? Everybody's going to pile into Bitcoin. Because why did Walmart decide now all of a sudden to accept Bitcoin? Because Walmart does not have Bitcoin in its own wallet. Do you think you go to Walmart today and you buy some t-shirts, some lotion, a few apples, a few of those little crispy pies that they sell? Okay, so your bill comes to $100 at Walmart. You are going to take your Bitcoin that you've had for 17 years or 10 years or 5 years or last year or last month and use your Bitcoin to buy $100 worth of groceries at Walmart? No. Now that Walmart decides now they accept Bitcoin, every Bitcoin you spend at Walmart, you think they're going to run and give that up and trade that to some other wallet and give that away? No, they're going to save it. Walmart has billions of dollars, right? They don't need that money that they're collecting in Bitcoin so that they can make their business grow. What they're actually doing is there's no other way for them to get Bitcoin except to mine Bitcoin or to take Bitcoin out of your wallet. So you're going to run to Walmart and spend your Bitcoin? You're going to run to places and spend your Bitcoin? Remember, people should be thanking Elon Musk. Oh my goodness. Let me do the station name. 88.5 FM, The Beat, The Smart Beat. Thank you for tuning in on 88.5 FM, The Beat, with Charlene, The Smart Beat. Our sponsors, Keika's Lifestyle. Now, Keika's Lifestyle, they have a private boat yacht charter business. So when you go on vacation or you want to go out on a private yacht, you call Keika's Lifestyle. They hook you up for a half day, a whole week. You can rent out the boat for a whole week if you want. You can go anywhere in the Caribbean. The boat is yours while you booked it. Here is the number to dial if you're interested. Okay? I'm going to give out a new number. 649-441-8805. 649-441-8805. If you want to get on a private charter in the Caribbean Sea for a whole day, relax, you got a private chef, there's food, unlimited food and fun. You want to go snorkeling. Now, when I get on the yacht, I stay on the boat. The boat is just a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, a lot of things going on. If you want to snorkel, you want to go beach hopping, all of that is happening right there. The good thing is you tell them Charlene sent you and they'll hook you up. Here's the number again: 649-441-8805. And this is 88.5 FM, the beat, the smart beat. 88.5 FM, the beat with Charlene, the smart beat. Now, let me get back into what I was trying to say. Do not go and spend your Bitcoin at Walmart or any other grocery stores. All the grocery stores, once Walmart does it, everybody else is going to do it. So, all your Kroger, all your all your Smart and Final, whatever, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, everybody's now going to be accepting Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is now the thing that everybody wants. I tell you, now the house is built and decorated and it's the house warming and everybody wants to come and participate in Bitcoin that we have built. We built this thing from ground up. You understand? Satoshi Nakamoto launched it, but we drove it. The early adopters, we drove the crypto marketplace. We drove it to where it is today. So here what's going to happen. All these companies around the world now accept Bitcoin. That's the only way they can get their hands on your Bitcoin. JP Morgan Chase saying, so JP Morgan has the largest stockpile of silver and probably gold and all the precious metals. So I told you this year, we're talking about 4 things. You didn't believe me. Now you see for yourself. On the first day, I told you, January 1st, 2026, 4 things. The second day, I told you 4 things. The third day, I told you 4 things. Now we're in the 6th day. I'm telling you the same thing. This year, 2026, is going to be the year that the banks all come online, all gravitate to Bitcoin, to cryptocurrency, to the whole blockchain technology. This is the year of the convergence, where the banks are now coming into our space. The banks are now joining us in the technology, in the AI, and the blockchain. Especially, everybody now wants their hands on your Bitcoin. So you've been trading Bitcoin and you've been collecting Bitcoin, you've been hodling Bitcoin. The hodl is not to stop hodling now. This is when those people, if they want your Bitcoin, they're going to offer you, okay, now you can spend Bitcoin at a grocery store, you can spend Bitcoin at the gas station. Everybody's now going to accept Bitcoin because that's the only way they can get the Bitcoin. And once they get the Bitcoin in their wallets, they're not going to redistribute that Bitcoin. These major companies, they have a lot of cash, they have a lot of money. So when they collect Bitcoin from you at the cash register, that Bitcoin is never going to leave their hands. They're all now finding out that they can trick people. So if you have Bitcoin, you should be smart. Don't be like, oh yeah, I'm all for adoption. I'm all for now Bitcoin. Everybody's accepting Bitcoin. I'm gonna go buy coffee at Starbucks. I'm going to go buy groceries at Walmart. I'm going to buy gas. I'm going to go get my mortgage at JP Morgan Chase, or I'm going to use my Bitcoin as collateral at the bank. No, folks, once those people get their hands on your Bitcoin, it's game over. It's a massive attempt to transfer the wealth. Because remember, 90, maybe 85% of the Bitcoin that's circulating, this 20 million Bitcoin, is not in the hands of the large conglomerate. I'm looking at Bitcoin treasuries, bitcointreasuries.net. The number of Bitcoin in circulation is nearly 20 million, right? Do you know what percentage of that is owned by these big companies? Folks, it's about 15%. 15% of all the Bitcoin, that means 85% of all the Bitcoin is owned by individuals, is owned by people, it's owned by small companies, it's owned by people with mind. A lot of it's been lost. Maybe say 25% of the Bitcoin that's been in circulation out of this 20 million Bitcoins that has already been mined, Out of that, let's just say 25% of it has already been lost. People lost their laptop, they lost their storage drive, they lost it, right? It's not there. Those people who lost that represent a big chunk of the Bitcoin. So those Bitcoin we're never going to see again. So let's just say the big companies, they've been collecting lately. So now they've gotten about, when I started, it was like 5% of the Bitcoin was in the hands of big companies like Tesla and so forth. Tesla was one of the first. Overstock.com, Square, Amazon, a few of those companies have Bitcoin, right? But now we're talking about 15% is the big companies. 25% is lost forever. We're never going to find those laptops. They've been turned into something else, into a water bottle, recycled plastic. And the middle, so take away 25 and 15, that's 40, right? So let's just say 60% of the Bitcoin that's in circulation, this 25% that's lost, that's owned by individuals as well. So 60% is in circulation. People have not moved their Bitcoin for years. Okay, people have been saving it and keeping it and holding it. A lot of these traders, they sell the Bitcoin in the morning, they buy it back in the afternoon. This trading doesn't mean they're selling Bitcoin. They're just moving it from wallet to wallet. Bitcoin is not something that sits on a shelf in Walmart. I always say it's not like a can of tuna sitting in the grocery store that you go and pick it up. Someone has to let their wallet open up their wallet and send it to your wallet. That's the only way it's going to be passed around, unless you mine Bitcoin. So if people who have Bitcoin, you're already smart, right? So Bitcoin is $92,000 US dollar for one Bitcoin. And the only way the big rich people who told you that Bitcoin was garbage, when you were building Bitcoin from ground up, they didn't want to participate. You asked them, come on in, help me with the building, help me with the foundation, help me with the plumbing, help me with the electrical. They didn't. They basically flipped you off. They gave you the bad word. So now that your Bitcoin has arrived, $92,000 for one Bitcoin. I'm looking at the chart. Now they want to jump on board. Now they want to come and get their hands on your Bitcoin. Do not spend your Bitcoin. Okay, don't sell your Bitcoin on the exchanges. People think, okay, I'm going to sell my Bitcoin, take the cash, and no, folks. The only way these people are going to get Bitcoin is if you give it to them. And so I'm not suggesting that you don't spend your money. I'm suggesting you figure out a way to earn other money to save your Bitcoin. If, like for me, okay, I used to have Bitcoin. Right now, this is not the case. So I'm not coming at you because I have a lot of Bitcoin stored up. I don't. I maybe have Bitcoin in a dozen wallets, little bits here, little bits there, probably $50 here, $10 here, $5 there, all over the place. Because I used to sign up for every free wallet, every free giveaway that was in Bitcoin. I used to chase it down. So I have all this little Bitcoin that's associated with myself, and I've lost some of those, access to some of those. You can't get it back, right? But why I'm telling you this is because you tune in to 88.5 FM, The Beat, the Smart Beat, to hear about how to integrate in this new digital economy. Okay, if you don't follow the trends, if you're not, okay, Bitcoin is future looking, right? So 17 years ago, this thing was coming out, and throughout those 17 years, the banks, the big stores, the wealthy people have trashed Bitcoin. And now that other people have gotten wealthy and become millionaires and billionaires out of Bitcoin. Now that the other billionaires are worried that their assets are not going to be valued as much as the new money. So Bitcoin is the new money. The old money is not happy. The oil money, the grocery store giants, the giant banks, they realized that they were banking on their banks being around forever, right? With cash. But now here comes Bitcoin. And it's not the Bitcoin they're after. What they're after is the consumer. So they have to now go off and try to bring back the consumers that are leaving the banking industry, the traditional bank. These consumers are going into digital assets. They're going into crypto. They're people are buying and selling outside of the banking system. Even wealthy people are moving real estate deals outside of the bank. Real estate transactions are taking place with Bitcoin. Bitcoin directly from one wallet to the next wallet. I'm not talking about selling the Bitcoin to buy the house. That's what I did. I traded in the Bitcoin and I bought my property. I'm talking about, I even asked the guy that was selling me the house. This is how stupid this guy was. I said, okay, I'll give you the Bitcoin, right? Instead of selling the Bitcoin and then paying for the house with the cash, I will give you the Bitcoin in your own wallet, and now you can have Bitcoin. I said, even though my Bitcoin is more valuable than the real estate at the time, I needed a place to live, of course, with my son. So I traded in my Bitcoin to acquire the real estate to buy the property. So that's what I did. The guy wouldn't take my Bitcoin. He was anti-Bitcoin. Matter of fact, he accused me of fraud. The guy who I bought my house from accused me of committing fraud because I wanted to offer him Bitcoin for the house. Now, what do you think that guy is pooping his pants right now? That seller who could have had Bitcoin for the money that I bought the property for, he is pooping his pants, for lack of a better word. I don't want to say the bad word. I don't want to say the S word or the other F word on the radio. So this guy could have taken the money in Bitcoin. Okay, I've also bought other assets using Bitcoin, and those people refuse. When I bought some property in Florida, I said to the guy, okay, take the Bitcoin rather than me having to sell the Bitcoin. Take the Bitcoin that I have for the property in Florida. You know what he said? No. Okay. He said he'll wait. I said the banks are holding my funds because I need to transfer the Bitcoin from another wallet into a bank to get the cash, and it's holding up my transaction, my real estate. This is real happening to me. Real life just happened to me recently. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. This is Charlene live on the radio, 88.5 FM, The Beat, The Smart Beat. I know our sponsor is going to get mad at me because I keep forgetting to take a break and shout out the sponsors. But everybody, go on over to Keika's Lifestyle. Our other sponsor is Turk Stores. So if you want to get on the clear boat, oh my goodness, I have to tell you about this. Okay, let me put my topic aside for a second. 88.5 FM, The Beat, live radio with Charlene. It's 2026. Okay, next in the marina, there are a lot of boats and a lot of private tours, fishing boats, any kind of boat you want. They're there in the marina where Keika's Lifestyle docks their boat. Right next to Keika's Lifestyle is the Clear Boat. So this is a boat made of pure acrylic, pure crystalline acrylic. So you can see everything. So they take out tours several times a day. I don't even know what the schedule is. You go and look up on their website. Look up the Clear Boat, and you can find that link on our website, 885thebeat.com. Go to 885thebeat.com. That's our radio station signal, 88.5 FM. 88.5 FM. The Beat. You can go out on the Clear Boat and you can see the turtles. You can see all the marine life, the ocean creatures. You can see the ocean from inside the boat. I'm not talking like there's a window of clear. The entire boat is made out of clear acrylic so you can see everything. I always tell the ladies, when you go on the clear boat, make sure you're dressed appropriately because everything can be seen, right? And cross your legs, please. This is the clear boat. Hit them up, Turk Stores. Go to our website. You'll see the link there. Tell them Charlene sent you and ask for the 88.5 FM special price. They have a special price. You have to mention 88.5 FM, the beat, to get that special price. They don't advertise it. It's not on their webpage. It's not a discount. It's not a coupon. It's a special deal that I make with them that they come on be one of the advertisers on this show, and I mentioned their name, and only 88.5 FM clients, our listeners and viewers are going to get that price. I'm not going to tell you what the discount is. I'm not going to tell you the special deal. Just mention it to them and they'll know what to do. They'll hook you up. This is Charlene live on the radio. I don't want other advertisers or other shows jumping on my advertisers to get the same deal. That's why I'm just like keeping it between you and me and the sponsor. So go online. Here's the other thing to do. Go to 885thebeat.com, 885thebeat.com. Register to get free stuff. Every single day, we're airdropping 88.5 radio tokens. Now, these tokens are what you're going to use to get free stuff. In the past, you used to get t-shirts, hats, pens, all the merch, mugs, shopping bags, and so forth from the radio station. And you used to just like maybe answer a quiz or play a game to get the freebies. So what I used to do is I go out with the radio station, me and my son, and we go to like the mall, we go to like the grocery store, we go to the shopping center, we go to the car dealer, and we spend the day at that sponsor's location broadcasting live whatever deals they have, and we give away all kinds of stuff. We did this for Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, all the major brands they want to advertise on the radio. We take their stuff out on the street and we do the road shows on the street. And my son, we have the spinning wheel, the wheel of fortune, all kinds of gimmicks to giveaways. Folks, those days are going to be over. You can only get the free stuff if you register on the radio station website. And every day we issue out the tokens. Now you can take those tokens and cash them in for the free merch, for the t-shirts, the hats, the mugs, and so forth. But you have to have the tokens. We are building our listener loyalty program through tokenization. So we're tokenizing the whole radio free merch. So you're going to get the merch, but you have to get the tokens first. And we airdrop that. You can't buy the tokens. These are just free tokens, and it builds customer loyalty. So thank you for tuning in. We want to reward you for your listenership. We want to reward you for your eyeballs. We want to reward you for your eardrums for listening to the show on 88.5 FM. So the only way to get the station tokens, the radio tokens, it's called 885thebeat.com. You'll see the link right there at the top. Click register to get free stuff. Okay? This is Charlene live on the radio, 88.5 FM, the beat, the smart beat. Now, let me get back into, so JP Morgan Chase is now accepting Bitcoin as collateral for mortgages or whatever loan you want to take money. You want to get a loan from the bank, you have Bitcoin, they can leverage, because that's what Bitcoiners have been doing. Within the Bitcoin community, people who have money, who have US dollar cash or access to cash, they would take your Bitcoin and they would lend you about 50% of the value. So here's my thing. Now that the mainstream banks and the mainstream grocery stores and everybody and their dog are now accepting Bitcoin, how are Bitcoin people going to pivot? Because they're not coming into Bitcoin because they love Bitcoin. They're not coming into Bitcoin because they're true Bitcoin enthusiasts. They're recognizing that the only way they're going to stay relevant is to jump on the Bitcoin bandwagon. It's a FOMO, fear of missing out. So all these people who have the fear of missing out, FOMO, are jumping in on the Bitcoin bandwagon, not because they're truly converted into Bitcoin. Like, oh my goodness. So there's a very popular person on the internet that is very sick. And he's not been like following Christianity as a converted Christianity. So now that he's sick, he's realizing that it's better. This is what he says. I'm not criticizing him, but he says he wants to become Christian because he's on his deathbed and there's nothing to lose by becoming Christian. So he says, according to Christianity, you're going to go to heaven because of your good works, for being a good person, for doing the right things throughout your life. So this is I'm not trying to hit you Christians. I am Christian. I'm Latter-day Saint Mormon by way of religious affiliation. I'm Christian at heart in my walk with God and Christ. But here is the thing. It's similar to what's happening to Bitcoin. The man says he wants to convert to Christianity because he's on his deathbed and he has, like, by the end of the month, the prognosis is he won't pass the end of January 2026 alive in this mortality. He will cross over to immortality. And he believes that he's been a good person all his life. Therefore, his works, his walk on this planet should have guaranteed him his access to heaven, not his conversion to Christianity. But he says, in any case, he's going to become baptized and join and convert his life to Christianity on his deathbed, because if he gets to heaven, he would have accepted Christ. And if he gets to heaven and finds out that Christ is real and heaven is real, then he would have already accepted Christ before he crossed over. But in case, that's just in case. He's not saying, I believe Jesus is my Savior. I am convinced that my access to heaven is through Jesus Christ. He is convinced that he doesn't want to miss out. The fear of missing out on heaven. You guys go look up this guy. He's still alive. His prognosis is towards the end of the year. But it's the same thing with Bitcoin. The banks, the Walmarts, the stores, the all these major corporations are fearing they're going to miss out on Bitcoin. So they're saying, oh, now we accept Bitcoin. Guess I accept Jesus because I'm on my deathbed. Remember the thief on the cross. The thief on the cross. He wasn't convinced that Jesus was his Savior. The thief next to Jesus on the cross said, please take me with you. And Jesus says, yes, you're coming to heaven with me because you were wrongly accused. So don't judge this man because he wants to go to Christ on his deathbed. And don't judge JP Morgan because they want to jump into Bitcoin now. And don't judge Walmart because they want to jump into Bitcoin now. All I'm saying is don't give them your Bitcoin. Don't give Walmart or Chase Bank your Bitcoin. I pray, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, that everybody in the world who didn't know about Jesus, who didn't follow Jesus throughout their life, and they're hanging there on the cross and they're on their last breath. They have 1 month to live, 1 day, a few days to live, even the last breath from a car accident. I don't know. I pray that Jesus accepts these people who've lived good lives into heaven. That is my, I do not, a lot of people are criticizing this man because he's making a calculated response, not a converted response to heaven. But either way, Paul the apostle said, some preach Christ for money, some preach Christ for fame, some preach Christ for all kinds of reasons. At least at the end of the day, Christ is preached. Oh, preach it, sister. Okay, so I'm not here on the show, 88.5 FM right now, to lecture you or to be Christian above any of you. You and me, we're all sinners. We're walking the same walk. So I'm not criticizing Scott. His name is Scott Adams. I'm not afraid to say his name because I really do see the salvation of Christ is not contingent. There's a lot of churches that are preaching that salvation is contingent on your acceptance and all your life. So if you never knew about salvation, you're going to hell. That is not true, folks. That is not true. Jesus himself has taught us that he went into the grave to rescue the dead, the people that already died. We read about that in Peter, First Peter. Jesus went into the grave for those 3 days to rescue the souls who have passed away since the beginning of time, who didn't hear about him. Oh my Jesus, let me stop preaching. Okay, let's get back to Bitcoin. Oh, there are two things that are important to me: the words of God and the technology of Bitcoin. And my son. Yes, my son is my first priority. Oh, God bless your soul, Sardonyx. I love you. I love you, honey. I love you so much. My son, I love you with all of my heart, with all of my breath, with everything that I am. I love my child. I actually even love my son more than I love Jesus. I'm telling you, I love my son to the maximum. There's not one drop of love that I have that does not belong to that child of mine. Oh, Lord have mercy. This is Charlene, live on the radio, 88.5 FM, the beat, the smart beat. A lot of people, they want to they want to segregate their life. Like their life is over here and they come on the air and that's a completely different life. No, with me, with this girl, you're getting it straight, 100% full on frontal. I have nothing to hide. This is my life. I love Bitcoin. I love technology. I am praying that the artificial intelligence and the AI and the robots come and save me out of my misery while I'm living on this earth. And then Jesus will save me out of my eternal misery when I go across to the other side. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Have mercy on me. Sometimes I believe in Jesus more than the others. Sometimes it's a challenge. Believing in Jesus is a continual battle. It's a continual challenge for me, essentially. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I struggle to figure out, unlike Scott Adams, who's saying now that he's coming into Christ or coming into Christianity. For me, I worry that all my believing and all my good works and all my days of sacrifice and my salvation, seeking after salvation all these years, has not panned out for me. I worry about that. But I continually wake up each day thanking God for life. Thank you, Jesus Christ. All right. Join the whole Bitcoin bandwagon. Everybody's now in. Before, when I come on the show, I used to tell you, I'm not here to tell you to buy Bitcoin. I'm not here to tell you to get into crypto. I'm not here to tell you to get into silver. I'm not here to tell you to get into stocks. But you know what? I am telling you, make sure you have a little bit of these things. A little Bitcoin, a little stocks, a little silver, a little gold, a piece of land somewhere, something somewhere for yourself, okay? You work all these years, make sure you're putting, not just consuming. You work, your paycheck, you pay your rent, you buy groceries, you buy clothes, you buy shoes, but you have nothing. You have nothing. You think, okay, I'm going to work, and then I'm going to retire. And then once I retire, that's when I'm going to, all these people, they work for 50 years and now they're building a house in Jamaica, or they're building a house here or there or whatever. And they don't live to enjoy it. Your work today should be able to build as you work. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. This is 88.5 FM, The Beat with Charlene, coming to you live and direct. No holes, no bars, okay? We are looking at 92,272 on the Bitcoin charts. A lot of other, a lot of other crypto stocks are up today. Bitcoin was all the way to 94, but it has come down a little bit. So anywhere, come on, guys. The US dollar, $1 US. The next currency we're talking about, the pound, the British pound, right? That's the strongest currency against the US. The yen also, and the yuan. The Bitcoin those currencies against the US dollar is only a few cents, maybe 40 cents, maybe 30 cents above the US dollar in terms of primacy, in terms of their value above the Bitcoin, above the US dollar. The Bitcoin, on the other hand, is 92,000. There's no currency in the world that's close to that. The next currency is even bigger than the pound or the yuan or the yen or whatever, is Ethereum, another crypto. Ethereum is $3,200, $3,200. Ethereum is trading for. I really don't get into other coins. I only focus on Bitcoin. But today, I didn't want to get it. Normally, I go through the 21 lessons about Bitcoin. Maybe I can squeeze something in about the fundamentals of Bitcoin right now, before I wrap up the show. So we talked about the 21 fundamentals of Bitcoin that I cover in my lectures formerly at Utah Valley University, but I'm covering those lectures here on the radio with you on 88.5 FM is my new university. You are in university. You're in college when you listen to my show on 88.5 FM, The Beat with Charlene on the Smart Beat. So here is something to take away from the lesson manual, from the curriculum. I feel like I can't do the show unless I hit the curriculum a little bit. Here's the thing. Bitcoin has 21 million max. We've been talking about that. And right now we're at 19.9997 Bitcoin. So we're close to 20 million. So I'm just going to say, for argument's sake, in 2026, we're at 20 million Bitcoin already mined, already distributed, right? Already out in circulation. We only have, say, less than a million to go. And why everybody's coming into Bitcoin now that we're on the last million is because they can see the beautiful house that we built. They can see the paint job. They love the decorations. They love the paintings on the wall. They love the beautiful recessed lighting. However you do design a beautiful mansion. So now everybody wants to come in and enjoy the fruits of our labor of building Bitcoin. So the closer we get to that 21 million, everybody's going to pile in. There's no human being on the planet that's not going to want to have Bitcoin in a wallet somewhere. Now, it doesn't matter that we only have 21 million maximum. Or let's say it doesn't matter that we're at 20 million. That 20 million is being circulated from people to people, wallet to wallet, exchanging hands. Now, what happens now is that the big millionaire and the major corporations are trying to get their hands on some of that 20 million because they know the 1 million that's left every year, that's going to be cut in half, the amount of Bitcoin coming out per block. And we're going to do a whole show on that. So stay tuned. We're going to do a show on the 4-year cycle and the halving and the blocks and the whole Bitcoin block. We have to do those topics together. The blocks, the halving, and the how many Bitcoins per block. So the thing to remember is that the value in the Bitcoin and why the banks and why everybody's now coming to Bitcoin. And yesterday I told you that the banks already came in. I knew that before. And I've been telling you that this is the year the banks are coming in. But who's coming in next? The next wave. So forget about it. Everybody knows about the banks. Everybody knows about Walmart. The thing that I want you to remember is that we are looking ahead 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead when you listen to this show. The next wave of adoption is not the banks. The banks already done. Trump already passed the order making Bitcoin strategic reserve. Congress in the United States already passed the Genius Act, and they're working on the Clarity Act. Bitcoin is now mainstream for the financial industry. The next move, the next movement, the next major migration into Bitcoin is the electric companies, is the power companies. Power companies in Texas and some other places are already partnering with Bitcoin mining, big, I'm talking about massive Bitcoin mining, like thousands of acres of warehouses running Bitcoin computers. I'm not talking about putting in your laptop or your little memory stick or your tablet and running Bitcoin. Yes, we're going to be doing that throughout the year, especially on the boat. We have excess energy. I'm talking about Pelican is soon going to realize that they can adopt Bitcoin to stabilize the grid, to beef up energy production on the island. The power company wants to sell more energy. They're not necessarily going to jump into Bitcoin because they love Bitcoin, or they're now convinced that Bitcoin is the right thing, and kind of like Scott Adams, he's not convinced Jesus is the way, but he's going to join anyways because he doesn't want to miss out on Christianity. He doesn't want to miss out on Jesus in heaven. So if Jesus is in heaven, he doesn't want to miss out. It's the same thing. If there is a Bitcoin heaven on earth, and if Bitcoin is real and Bitcoin can stabilize the grid, and the electric companies can see that they can drive up their energy production, produce more kilowatts, increase their base load, charge less for electricity, and still make more money, by adopting Bitcoin, you think they're going to care that you flip on your lights and you plug in your refrigerator and you're charging 6 cell phones in your house? No, that's small change for them. Bitcoin is where the big money is for the power company, for the electric company. I'm talking about 2 kilowatts, 10 kilowatts. I'm talking about gigawatts. Elon Musk is talking about building infrastructure for energy, not on Earth, not on a volcano, not on a geothermal, not on a hydroelectric plant, not on solar panels, not on wind turbines. Elon Musk is promised to build energy in space and shoot it back down, just like we have SpaceX and Starlink shooting that satellite feed is most reliable internet ever, anywhere in the world, remote area. The same way you're getting the satellite. Remember, we talked about what is the value of Bitcoin? Bitcoin is energy. Bitcoin is the electricity, right? Bitcoin stores the value of the electricity as it mines Bitcoin, as it sustains the network, and that what gives it its $92,000 value today. It's the energy going into the Bitcoin technology, the number of computers mining the Bitcoin and using up electricity, all that electricity of every single computer around the globe running the Bitcoin software, all of that electricity is monetized. That's where the value comes from in the Bitcoin. And people who are smart recognize that this is the best way to generate money, is from the electricity being expelled and being distributed and being utilized, monetizing that electricity in a currency and giving that currency value. So you know how people thought that the US dollar was backed by oil, or the US dollar was backed by gold, or originally silver was the backing of money, of the dollar, right? It says we have a silver instead of silver is so hard to come by, and people decided, let's use a paper certificate to hold in place of silver, and when you're ready for the silver, give it back to you, right? So here is the thing now. Bitcoin is now backing the US dollar. Let me say that again, a different way. The US dollar is now backed by Bitcoin. For a while there, we had the petrodollar, where the dollar was backed by oil, petroleum. But that went away very fast, right? Now, today, 2026, the US dollar is now backed by Bitcoin. JP Morgan Chase, the biggest bank and the biggest silver hoarding horse in this race, is now telling you that they accept Bitcoin as collateral. They will accept Bitcoin as a backing for anything you want to do. They don't even care what you need the money for. You don't even have to fill out a very few little bit of papers, because you give them your Bitcoin, they give you cash. The Bitcoin is more valuable to them to collect the Bitcoin. That's why the big banks are coming now, because they need Bitcoin. And so now, unlike when I bought the last property I bought in 2025, they wouldn't take the Bitcoin. I try to get every bank, every seller to take the Bitcoin instead of me cashing out the Bitcoin to buy the property. So guess what? None of them did. So I had to cash out the Bitcoin and and get the cash and then use the cash to buy the property. They wouldn't take the Bitcoin. But guess what? It's 2026, my friends, and everybody now wants to get their hands on Bitcoin. Listen, if you are smart, you'll follow these people. If you have a little shop somewhere, if you have a business somewhere, you're doing a little Airbnb here and there, you're selling your little goods here and there, you're trading your business, you're offering a boat tour, boat charter, we are going to be accepting Bitcoin. Matter of fact, right now, we accept Bitcoin for Keika's Lifestyle Private Yacht Charter. This is Charlene on 88.5 FM The Beat. 88.5 FM The Beat, the smart beat with Charlene. Go to our website. I can't end the show without asking you to sign up for our listener reward program. 88.5 FM The Beat. Here's the website, 885thebeat.com. Right there at the top, it says free stuff. Sign up for free stuff. Once you register, you become part of the daily giveaways. You become part of the daily airdrops. So we are airdropping based on our station ticker, 88.5 tokens every single morning. It's automated. I already set it up. It's just going to happen. Now, if 1 million people register, that 88.5 tokens will be distributed among all the registered users. But from time to time, like the other day, I dropped 17,000. The other day, I dropped 5,000. So for now, since it's the new year, and I want a lot of people to sign up. I don't want you to go into your account on our website and log in and only see fractions of of tokens. I want you to have whole tokens. I want everybody to have at least 88.5 tokens in their registered account on a radio station. So go now, and you can text me too. Here's the number: 649-441-8805. 649-441-8805. Text is best. But register at 885thebeat.com. Register. 88.5 The Beat. This is Charlene. Now, the last thing I will leave you with, now that I'm calmed down, I'm not as eccentric. The president of the university that I used to work, Utah Valley University, they said I was too eccentric. I get too excited. I get too emotional. I express everything from the very bottom of my heart. I have to bring it all up from the very bottom. It's like singing. You know, you sing from your diaphragm. That way you can bell out those high notes. But so I express my thoughts and my words from the bottom, way below, from the gut, you understand? So everything I say to you is honest, true, and comes from within. And I make mistakes all the time. I mess up all the time, but you know that I love you. I love the listenership on this station. And wherever you're tuned in, this is Charlene, 88.5 FM, The Beat, the smart beat. If you have Bitcoin, try to get more. If you don't have Bitcoin, try to get some. Join the bandwagon. Join the Bitcoin bandwagon. Walmart, Chase Bank, all the major banks across the world are now open for business with Bitcoin. So you know you have arrived once your product is in Walmart. You know game over, right? Because Walmart has access to every single consumer on the planet. Let me tell you that. Not just in the United States. You are probably using an item that someone purchased at Walmart. Your house is littered with Walmart stuff. You probably don't even know it. Even if it doesn't say great value on it, it's still coming through that whole supply chain. But here's the thing, do not use your Bitcoin to buy groceries. You're going to need it in the future when it gets to be a lot more valuable. Okay? So if you can pinch and sacrifice, get into some Bitcoin today. When you get your paycheck, I know you pay your rent, you pay your light bill, you pay your water bill, you pay all these things. You buy food, you buy liquor, all the money you spend on the sippy cup, the liquor bottle, and all the money you spend on the flavored air puffs that people are puffing. I don't know, people are walking around puffing on these things. Spend that money and acquire some assets. You don't have to go out and buy a big house or buy a piece of land, but you can buy 10, 15, 20, $100 of Bitcoin. That's what I want to leave it with you. I'm no longer afraid of telling you, go out and acquire some Bitcoin, because the banks are now telling you that they are after your Bitcoin. So I feel confident in not holding back anymore. Not just learn about Bitcoin, acquire, get it, get a wallet somewhere. And if you want information on how to do that, text me directly. Here's the number: 649. No, I don't want your money. I just want to share with you which wallets I'm using that you can try out. Okay. So I'm not trying to take money from you. I do want to take money from people, but not for this purpose. Here's the number: 649 441 8805. Thank you for tuning in. This is Charlene, live on the radio, 88.5 FM, The Beat.